everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How you guys doing?
42, the meaning of life.
And I'm okay.
Sean, I feel like you're always just doing okay.
Yeah, I always got a lot going on. Honestly, I'm one of those people, I've seen this before, where it'd be like a woman, and she'll be like, "Is your husband ever come home from work?" And you'll be like, "Oh, anything interesting happened today?" And he'll be like, "No." And like 3 hours later, he'll just tell you this absolutely insane, off-the-wall story that, like, you're like, how did you not tell me that 3 hours ago when I asked you, like, how work was? And it's just like, I don't know. That's me. Like, I'll come home, my wife would be like, "How's your day?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, good. Nothing interesting happened." And like 3 hours later, I'll tell her some crazy thing, and she'll be like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to tell you earlier." So that's how I am. I don't think about anything crazy going on at the time. I just know how I feel, and usually it's pretty good or just okay.
Well, we're glad you could join us today.
Yes. So I had to tell you guys, I watched Pokemon Concierge on Netflix, and it is freaking adorable.
I've been wanting to check it out. I remember when they first announced it, and I was like, okay, they're doing another little show. It looks kind of cute. The art style's a little different, and I just didn't even know that it was even out, and I have not had any time to look at it.
I watched the first episode, and let me tell you, I'm a huge fan of stop motion in general. Like, I like all the Wallace and growing up, like Wallace and Gromit, all the like the kids' Christmas things, like Rudolph,
Those are the
Santa
best.
Claus is coming to town, that stuff. Like, I love all that stop motion stuff, all the way going up through like Robot Chicken, and things like that. So when I saw they were making a stop motion Pokemon, I was hyped, and honestly, it's really good.
I love the look and the look and feel of it. Like, it is visually stunning. And honestly, I couldn't just stop smiling while watching it just because of how good it looked visually and how wholehearted it felt.
I would agree.
I will definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, it's just the tropical island looked very nice, and the show's very colorful as well. It was just a very interesting feeling while watching it, and in addition to that, I don't know I think I mentioned earlier the textures of the
Yes,
Pokemon.
yes.
Yeah, like Ferret and Eevee actually looked fuzzy.
Yeah, I like how they had a felt look to them.
Mm-hmm.
And how some of the other Pokemon looked like little figures, like toy figures.
It looked like they're just acting out little Pokemon figure you could go buy from Target.
Yeah. Yeah, Turtle, you used to play we used to play Pokemon cards together in the past couple of years. Do you remember the basic common cards that you would get that sometimes they would look like toys or yarn?
Yes.
It has so they didn't do the full yarn like they did with the Pokemon cards, but it has a felt to it. So it's sort of it has that feel to it. But you know how they would do figure toy looking cards?
Those, unironically, like those were usually some of my favorite looking cards. It was just like this little plastic toy in this
Yep.
realistic setting. I just thought
Yeah.
they looked cool.
They pretty much use those toys, that toy look for some of the Pokemon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I gotta go watch
Yeah.
this now.
I mean, it's only 4 episodes. It'll take you less than an hour to watch.
Okay.
You'll be able to blitz through it very quickly.
Maybe I'll try to watch that tonight.
You could fire up an episode while you eat lunch a day, and you'd be through it in no time at all.
Nice. I will definitely check that out because I do love me Pokemon still. I'm an old guy. I've been playing since Gen 1 on my old Game Boy, so anytime they come up with something new, I like to watch just to stay in touch, you know.
But Sean, I'm glad you dug the first episode of it.
I'll probably finish it at some point.
It's a fun watch. Like I so it's funny because when they first announced it, I was very this I did not think it looked all that appealing to me. And then it came out, I'm like, I have nothing else to I was just sort of scrolling on Netflix. I'm like, oh, this is out. It's in the top 10. Why not? Let's give it a try at least. And I binged it in one sitting.
Huh?
So I'm really hoping we get either a season 2 or more episodes, whatever they want to call it, because 4 episodes was not enough.
Yeah, it's rough with Netflix because if you're not like if if they put down for a show and it's not instantly a success as big as like Stranger Things or One Piece or something like that, you just get canceled.
It is Pokemon though, so there's a good chance it'll come back.
Pokemon's mega popular.
Isn't it like the number one grossing franchise on the planet?
That wouldn't surprise me.
You are correct. I think number two it might be Sanrio, which is like the Hello Kitty franchise.
Oh, I was gonna say, what the heck is that? Why don't I know
I
it?
had the same exact thought.
It's number two, and I've never heard of it. No, Hello Kitty, I'm aware of, so that makes sense. Yeah, Pokemon's number one. It's huge. So if it, gets enough views for Netflix, I'm not sure how they calculate that, but I'm sure that will come back for a season two.
I was way wrong, by the way. Number two is like Mickey Mouse and Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Disney.
That
Yeah, then Winnie the Pooh, then Star Wars, then the Disney princesses.
that would
So
do
that's
it.
the top five.
That would do it. That makes way more sense. I'm honestly a little surprised that the Disney stuff isn't higher.
Yeah, like, it's hard to
But
imagine that Pokemon could beat the powerhouse of Disney. I guess
yeah,
Disney's segmented, right? Mickey Mouse and Friends is two.
that's
They
true.
own Winnie the Pooh, so that's three. Star Wars
Yeah.
four. Princess is five.
Yeah, so if you put
Um,
all that together, it would far
the
exceed if you
MCU
put
is
all of the
nine.
oh,
Yeah, if you
yeah.
add it all
So
together, it'd
if you put
horribly.
all of Disney, the Disney umbrella together, it would be number 1.
I'm surprised Disney hasn't tried to buy Pokemon, but at the same
Ah,
time, uh,
I don't want that.
I don't
yeah,
think it would ever happen.
I don't think
yeah,
so either, but I definitely do not want that. Don't do
I
that.
will I will say whenever 'cause at Disney World at Epcot in the Japan land, they have a shop that has a fair amount of Pokemon and other anime stuff in it. And they have a really big Pikachu statue in there.
Well, I mean, it's Pikachu. He's their mascot. If you're gonna have Pokemon anything, you gotta have Pikachu.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's funny to go in there. It's like, "Oh, hey, there's Pokemon stuff here."
That's how big it is, man. It's
Yep.
everywhere. Disney stores, yeah, we're gonna creep in there.
We're going to creep into Disney proper. We will be at Disney World selling our products.
They don't mess around.
yeah, dude. This list is insane. Some of these franchises, like Dungeon Fighter Online, something no one has ever heard of in America, pretty much.
What is that?
Yeah, it's like a Korean thing. It's like number 15 or around number 15.
Wow.
Yeah, $22 billion franchise, which is only 3 billion under Transformers, and it's more than the Cars franchise. You know how much money the Cars franchise has made in America? People are obsessed with it here. Like every little kid has Cars crap everywhere,
Yeah.
and like Dungeon Fighter Online has made more money than Cars.
Wow, and I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah,
them though. Whatever they're doing, it's working.
it's okay. Yeah, I mean Candy Crush has made more than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Looney Tunes, so you know, take that what you will, take what you will from that.
My other Netflix recommendation of late is Delicious in Dungeon. They're doing only one episode a week, which really sucks because the show's really good so far. Sean, you would hate the first part of the premise. It's a cooking show.
Yeah, I do not care. I expressed that during vending machine that any episodes surrounding cooking, I'm just out usually.
But the second part of the premise you would love, as it's D&D Baldur's Gate feel to it.
It's pretty fun.
And every time I finish an episode, I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry.
I've heard good things about it. Heard a little bit of buzz, but I'll have to check that out. I've not seen that yet either.
Sean, maybe this will be a cooking anime you actually like. Maybe the D&D will help outweigh the cooking aspects.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever enjoyed a cooking anime. It's been a rough ride for me in those shows. I try them out and then I'm like, ugh, so boring. But that's okay. I'm not a big cooking guy. I hate cooking actually. I do it out of necessity, not because I like it.
That's fair. I don't mind it. I like I'm more of a I like doing the stuff on the grill and the smoker. My wife and I will take turns cooking each day of the week. But you give me like cooking on the grill or the smoker or steaks in the sous vide, and I'm all about it.
I don't cook. I am very not good at it, and I don't want to kill anyone I'm feeding, so I just don't do it.
I get that.
I'm one of those, I guess. Best to keep me away from the kitchen. Well, you guys about ready to get into the anime this week?
Let's do it.
Let's do. Yeah, it'll get me to stop looking at the list of media franchises while
You're
we're
still
discussing.
going through it.
Guys, I mean, the Conjuring universe, $2.18 billion. Jumanji 2.24. We rifle off a couple other random ones. The Bourne series 2.03 billion, 2.02 billion for Men in Black, 2.02 billion for Ghostbusters, 2 billion for NBA Jam.
Wow.
All right, I closed the window.
All right. On that note, today we are talking about episodes 5 and 6 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Episode 5, Phantoms of the Dead. The episode opens with a flashback to the ending of the previous episode and a few clips from the first episode. And they just do this to remind us of our goal of reaching Aureole, so Frieren can find Himmel and speak to him once again.
Array, 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 alay. Array, alay.
That was good.
So yeah, it's where they're going, and for some reason the name just stuck in my head there with that song.
It's moments like this, and when this stuff happens, and this is how I know that we're friends. Thank you, Sean. I love that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm just like, now where do I go from here? So disruptive.
Sean, I expect you to do that every time they bring it up.
Uh, yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
Sean,
I mean, I like, yeah, they mention it once every 2 episodes like they did now. That's fine.
the running gag.
There's just an episode where they bring it up every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I'm not agreeing to this.
After the opening credits, we see a flashback of Fern talking to Heiter, and Heiter tells Fern to listen to Frieren and to be a good girl, or he will come back to haunt her as a ghost. Fern says that if she misbehaves, Heiter will pay her a visit, and this causes Heiter to grin and asks where she learned to be so sly. It was you, Heiter. It was you all along.
I love that. How Fern's like, oh, so you'll come and visit me if I misbehave. And just sort of has like that smile, that smirk on her face. It's like, I just love that. It was so wholesome.
Yeah, Hyder's definitely the first one she'd probably want to talk to at Array. However, I did also realize that she's an orphan, and I wonder if she can find like her birth parents there and talk to them. So that's
Ooh.
something interesting to look forward to for Fern, potentially. I have a feeling she won't talk to them; she'll just talk to Hyder.
I never thought about that. That could be interesting though. 28 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the Will region, located in the Central Lands. The flashback was actually a dream that Fern was having while she was taking a nap. When they reach the new town, they find out that there are ghosts showing up and people have gone missing. Frieren and Fern decide to investigate. They find out that the ghost takes on the appearance of the beholder's dead family or friends and even speaks to them. Frieren says that they are not dealing with the undead because a reanimated corpse would not look like the person did in life, so it has to be a monster, and a nasty one at that. Fern decides they should help the villagers in need, and Frieren agrees.
Whenever Fern is like, we should help the villagers, I'm like, is this building to Fern the hero in 10 years? We have Himmel the hero.
Well, it's an interesting point, right? Because in some ways, Fern hasn't realized that her adventure's begun. I feel like because she's been on it for so long. But like she and Freerun are kind of going to towns and like stopping and helping people and doing interesting things. And for my return to these towns like 10, 20 years from now, people be like, "Oh, you're the girl who's traveling with Freerun." Like the way that, Freerun shows places like, "Ah, I remember Himmel the hero." Things like that. So, um When Fern realizes that she and Frieren are probably building some sort of small reputation at every village they go to because number one, they're such interesting people, but number two, they've helped a lot of people as well. Like you don't forget the day like a couple mages roll into town and clear up the harbor. You know what I mean? Like that's something that the town remembers for a long time, probably.
I would think so.
Yeah. So Fern's already on her way to hero status.
As the two travel to find the monster, we hear them converse. The monster is called an Einsom, and it preys on people by using illusion magic to show the victim a dead loved one. Being a mage, you can defeat the monster by attacking the illusion of the person. Fern says that it's easy, now that she knows what to do. And then Freerun asks Fern if she could actually do it. And Freerun says that she once had to shoot through her master begging for her life. This is just brutal, man.
It's interesting, Turtle, that you find it brutal, and I find it cold. Like I find Freeren's attitude cold towards it because she's like, "Oh, my master was always crying about not wanting to die and this and that," and I didn't feel particularly guilty about killing the monster. I'm like, "Geez, that's cold, Freeren."
Yeah, she's definitely a little cold and distant throughout the show so far.
She just doesn't view life and death the same way we do because she's seen so many people die.
As they travel through the forest, they begin to encounter fog, and then Heiter appears, talking to Fern. As Fern prepares to attack, Heiter tells her he is here for a friendly haunt since she's been a good girl. They showed the dream at the beginning of the episode to set this up, but it still hits hard. Frieren is about to help when Himmel shows up before her. Ghost Himmel says two words: Frieren, shoot. This is so badass. Frieren attacks and blows up like half the forest. This reveals the monster's true form, and Fern destroys it.
This scene was awesome. Like there was so much stuff about it that I really liked. I like how the monster knew of Fern's memories of Hyder and like, oh yeah, if you be a good girl, I'll come back to haunt you in the future. And then the look of the monster I really dug. But the one thing I found interesting was Ghost Himmel saying Free Ren shoot. And Free Ren's like, huh, that's exactly what he would say. Why would the monster pick those words and not like some other words to like try and shake Friedren?
That is a very interesting idea with this monster because it's almost like the monster they say it's using illusionary magic, which okay, I get. But it's almost like it's reading the person's mind to learn about who the person they're showing the illusion about. And I really think that Himmel, deeply cared about Freeren, and he would never want anything harmful to happen to her. So he would willingly sacrifice himself if that meant Freeren could live. So is the monster like reading Freeren's mind to learn how Himmel was, and that just backfired? It seems like it wouldn't do that intentionally because it harmed itself.
That's what really confused me. It's like I wish we got more about this monster to understand why it picked the words it did.
I don't know, but it was a good scene no matter what. They didn't define the monster's powers, but you don't have to because it was super cool. Rule of cool: if it's cool, do it.
28 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the Regal Canyon, located in the Central Lands, the two mages come across a dragon and its nest. This dragon looks awesome. A dragon will seek out magical items to build its nest with. And of course, there's a grimoire there that Frieren has been after for some time, she says. They decide to kill the dragon to protect any adventurers from becoming lunch. Fern fires a blast at the beast, and it just bounces off like a paper ball. The dragon wakes up, and Frieren starts running away and yells at Fern to do the same.
I loved the look of the dragon, but I also loved how they thought, oh, Fern could just shoot it one time and it'll work to kill it. This is a dragon. You might need a little bit more of a plan than that.
I mean, how many dragons has Frieren killed? She might actually not have. Oh well, hold. They did kill that one dragon in the Demon Lord's palace because they had the horn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess she's killed at least one dragon. But also notice that like Frieren didn't try and blast it. She could have just powered up and just murdered it in one hit. Probably.
That's a good point. I will say when Frieren yelled to run away, all I could think of was Monty Python. Run away! Run away! Needed some coconuts.
I love that bit. After they escape the dragon, they come to the local town. Frieren has a flashback to Eisen, and Eisen advised Frieren to find his apprentice, Stark, to become their frontline warrior. Fern asks what magic is in the tome, and Frieren says it's a spell to see through clothing. I know she explains that depending on what the viewer sees as clothing, you can spot concealed weapons, but we all know what first came to our minds.
Get your mind out of the gutter, turtle.
Hey, you thought it too. You thought it too. Don't lie.
I would never.
Well, Frieren also has a potion that dissolves clothing, so Frieren can look through clothes and dissolve clothing.
Yeah, because they mentioned that potion that dissolves clothing earlier. Wonder why Freeren's gathering all this stuff.
Because it's fun.
I won't argue that. We then meet this old lady who says Mr. Stark would like to meet the two mages, and the old lady is voiced in English by Linda Young. I love hearing her voice pop up in random shows. It's incredible. Linda Young, who I will now refer to the old lady as, tells us that Stark, he stepped in once to scare the dragon away from the village, and it's not come back since. I find that hard to believe since the dragon was pretty fierce.
When we see Stark in the flashback, he definitely did not look like what you would think of for Eisen's apprentice. Like he looked sort of bland.
Yeah, I kind of agree. They gave him like the scar, but like he still looks kind of bland. Thought they would beef him up a little bit, like bigger muscles and stuff. But I guess it's Japan, and that's not really like a popular look.
It's also kind of, like subverting expectations. You expect him to be like this ripped dude, and he's not. So Stark reveals that he was too scared to attack the dragon, and it must have spared him on a whim. The villagers started treating him like a hero, and yeah, that makes a lot more sense actually. This was a very funny scene. Stark has never battled a monster, and he is very, very afraid. And Fern says very coldly, they should find another warrior.
Stark saying he never fought a monster was hilarious to me. And like I just like how he's like, I never fought one. And then like we see how the villagers were treating him, and like the entire time his face never changed in each of the montage scenes. They're like, here, have all this food. Here, have all this. And he just has like this wide eyed look of like fear on his face. And they're all like, yay, Stark, you're the best.
He's like totally dumbstruck throughout the whole thing. He doesn't know what to do.
And then when Fern made mention of them very coldly saying they should find another warrior, leading up to that, Frieren was like sort of like praising Stark and like trying to build him up. And I almost wonder if it was jealousy coming from Fern, like, hey, how dare you get any praise from my master? Or I might just be reading too much into it.
It's hard to say.
Later that night, Fern goes to check on a loud noise. It turns out the giant fissure in the rock that was behind Stark earlier was actually made by Stark during his training. This dude is actually really strong.
I have a feeling I'm really going to like Stark as we get to know him more.
Yeah, I'm curious as well.
As I've mentioned before, being totally, transparent and upfront, I have seen past this. I think you guys will like him a lot too.
Until his heel turn, right? When he thinks he'll betray the party.
Oh, maybe
Evil!
that
Evil
could happen
Stark.
in the next episode. Who knows?
Oh, great!
I'm not
I look
telling.
forward to it.
Every time they say Stark, I think of Tony Stark.
See, it kills me. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced like in the Japanese version. I assume that they had some hand in some translation stuff, but they call him Stark, but it's spelt Stark, like just ST, no SHT.
Yeah, and like sometimes it almost sounded like maybe my ears were just playing tricks on me, but like for the most part, it sounded like they were saying Stark, and then sometimes I swore they said Stark.
It's kind of weird. It everything that I've seen on it, it looks like it's just spelt Stark, like Tony Stark, STARK. But most of the time, it sounds like they pronounce it SHTARK, Stark. So I don't know. That's what I'm going with. That's what I heard.
Yeah, they do the Stark thing, which is why I don't think of Tony actually, which is good.
Well, that's the end of episode 1. I think we need a break. Mike, what do you got for us?
Hope you're all feeling thirsty because it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Kings County Brewing, and it is their Zocktoberfest or Jocktoberfest. It's a 5.4% Marzen, a beer style I don't really drink a ton of very often. It's an old German style beer, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Marzens. To me, they're much like Pilsners, that once you've had one, you've had them all, because to me, they all taste the same. Like, it's not like, oh, here's an IPA, we're using different hops, we're doing different this, that's that. Like, it's a very traditional style. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not a big fan of traditional beer styles. Like, give me, if I'm gonna drink a beer, like a craft beer, give me, I want the flavor. I want the fun stuff to it. I don't want just like the traditional, like, here's a Pilsner, here's a Marzen, blah blah blah. Like, you could throw any label on it, and to me they all taste the same. The average untapped rating is a 3.75, and I give it a 3.25.
Episode 6. The Hero of the Village. Stark reveals that the scar on his forehead was not from a monster, but from Eisen. What did he do or say to piss Eisen off?
I was honestly wondering if it was a way for Eisen to unlock Stark's powers. Was it an argument, or was it like some way of the master, like, oh, we need to do this so you can unlock your full potential? I mean, we saw what Piccolo did to Gohan in Dragon Ball Z.
Dodge!
Dodge! Dodge!
Yeah, Eisen hit him with that tough love.
Fern tells Stark that the first time she fought a monster, she ran, and Frieren refused to help, and once Fern was finally trapped in a corner, instinct took over, and she destroyed it.
Before we move on, I just wanted to say I really liked the look of that monster that Fern fought. I wish we got to see more of that because it looked cool as hell.
That thing was pretty crazy looking. In the morning, the mages stop to pick up Stark, but he is nowhere to be found. Frieren says to prepare for dragon-sized tag. We then see Fern. we then this
It's
this
just
part is so
ridiculous to
good.
think of. It's like, all right, we're gonna play dragon tag. It's like, okay, well, how do you win? Well, you tag the dragon, and don't let the dragon tag you, otherwise you're dead.
This is such a great scene.
I love how casual Frieren is about stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Like really dangerous stuff. She's just so broken. Like, you know how powerful she absolutely is, and we haven't seen the full extent of it. Like, when she beat that demon guy a few episodes back, she was just using his spell, which is the basic attack magic. I feel like we have not even come close to scratching the surface of what she can do.
We then see Fern grappled to a tree with Frieren trying to pull her off, which is just hilarious.
I was losing it at that. She's like, no, no, I will not go. This tree is my home base now.
Stark then shows up and says that if he dies fighting the dragon, Frieren has to promise to finish it off. She asks why would Stark sacrifice so much? And Stark says he has lived there for 3 years. And Frieren says not long. And Stark goes, yes, long.
I have to agree with Freerun in this case. Like, 3 years isn't really that long for living somewhere. Like, this town must be boring as hell for Stark to say that it's been a long time.
Yeah, I was also thinking like 3 years is a long time, but like you said, living somewhere and putting down roots is a different case. Like 3 years living somewhere. If someone said, "Oh yeah, I lived in New York City for 3 years and then I moved away," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, not very long."
The way I kind of see it too is like Stark's pretty young. So like he was living with his master and then for whatever reason he's now not there. So this is sort of like I'm guessing the first time he's kind of been on his own. So maybe like, because he's sort of like become their hero and their protector, like they do mean a lot to him. What follows is an awesome fight scene between the dragon and Stark. I would try to describe this fight scene, but I don't think I can actually put it into words. I'm just not that skilled. I love the scene. It is visually awesome to watch. And if you're not watching this show with us, you really need to stop listening to this and then go watch the show and then come back afterwards because you need to see this.
For those curious, the fight scene starts at the 7:45 mark of the episode. But I have a couple thoughts in regards to the scene and the accompanying scenes with it. I loved the flashback to Aizen where his hands were shaking and he said, without fear, he wouldn't have made it this far. And how when Frieren told Stark about Aizen's words, it really opened Stark's eyes. And he's like, oh, my master and I aren't that different. He was afraid too. And then we get another flashback of Aizen and Frieren. And Aizen's saying how he felt terrible for hitting Stark. And he said the reason he hit him was he was afraid of Stark and Stark's powers. And whenever he fully unleashes him, he will be an amazing warrior.
Okay, this one I didn't understand. Why was he afraid of him? What is this?
I
It's not like Okay, I'm just throwing this out there. People are gonna hate this reference. Like Luke Skywalker and
I
Kylo Ren.
I was literally about to say the same thing.
I don't I don't get it. It's not like he's succumbing to the dark side. He's just a strong warrior. Like, why did you hit
Yeah,
him? Because you were scared. Like, was he about to kill you? Like, I don't get it.
I don't get that one either, actually.
it was just I'm like, did you like sense darkness in him or something, and that's why you hit him? Like, I don't understand. Like, or like, was Aizen hitting him to like try and set him on the path of being a warrior? I don't understand it at all.
And he punched him out of their house, right? Like they showed the scene.
Yeah, and like
Punched him
the
like
house
through a
exploded
wall.
pretty much.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. I thought maybe it was like if it was a case where like they were training and he had the upper hand on Aizen, and Aizen actually feared for his life, like during a training session, because he just couldn't handle him anymore. That makes sense. But he was just in his house, well, like cooking dinner, and then just wailed on him.
And then my final thought was I absolutely lost it at Stark yelling at Frieren to come down and finish the dragon off, and him calling her an old hag before Freeren's like, he's already dead. You killed him. He's dead. And then Freeren's like, old hag. I found that very funny.
She is old.
Yeah, but I laughed more at the part where Stark is just like screaming. He's like, "Finish it off! I'll hold it!" Like he still thinks he's gonna die fighting this thing. Like he's like, "I can't hold on much longer." Like,
Take the shot.
yeah, like he's sacrificing himself almost. I don't know. It's that it cracked me up. I had a good time with that one.
After the dragon is defeated, Frieren compliments Stark for his bravery and strength. She then runs over to the treasure singing like a little girl. This just made me laugh so hard. Again, like seeing this mostly emotionless, cold character get happy and excited is just really funny to me.
I love how Fern was like acting like the mom in this situation, trying to limit free rent to how much treasure she could take. She's like, okay, you can only have 3 pieces. Leave the rest for other travelers.
It's so funny. Frieren gets all depressed too. She's got like her both of her arms full of junk and then she just puts it all down.
And, like one of the things was like a bottle.
Yeah, but I'm like, why limit for? They need a bag of holding.
They do.
I'm sure Friedrine would know a spell for it.
One would think, wouldn't you? After collecting the treasures, the three leave the village to continue their journey. Fern tests out the new magic spell to see through clothes. Fern doesn't find the spell very interesting, and she uses it on Frieren, and Frieren says that she's sorry her body is not interesting. Fern then takes a look at Stark and says, so small. To which Stark says, no part of him is small. Usually, this joke is used for like a guy to look at a girl, and it's actually kind of refreshing to see it used the other way around.
I love how Shark's like, no, shut up. It's not small. Nothing small. It's fine. It's all normal.
I was really scared, okay?
I was in a pool.
Yeah, the Costanza. There was shrinkage. It was cold outside.
28 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the fortress city of Wall, located in Regal Canyon in the Central Lands.
From the window to the wall.
The
To the wall.
three are stuck in town because of the monster activity in the Northern Lands. Since the checkpoint is closed, Frieren decides they should just wait in town until it opens again. Who knows how long that will take? Frieren says she's going to drop her things off at the inn and explore the magic shops, to which Fern gets very upset at. Stark asks if she wants to get something to eat, but she just glares at him. Fern can be so mean. She then overhears some villagers saying that the checkpoint may not open for another 2 years. Not great.
I got a good kick out of Stark asking Fern if she wants to go get food. Well, right before that, he was walking and eating a piece of bread. Like, he literally was stuffing his face like, you want to go get food?
Well, he's pretty much a high school athlete. I bet you this man's stomach is a bottomless pit.
He's our Goku.
Could be.
I mean, Warriors got to eat, right? Keep up all that energy.
Build muscles. He's a growing boy. He's probably not done getting taller.
I do wonder, and Turtle, you don't spoil it, how Stark and Fern interact. I almost wonder if Stark has a crush on Fern, or if people are shipping the two of them.
I thought the exact same thing because Fern was actually like a little cold to him, but like I was worried they were just gonna. So in anime they fall into these tropes, right? And I was worried Fern was just gonna go full tsundere and just like treat Stark like crap every minute they're together. But while now he's kind of disrupted her peaceful life with Frieren, like as the episode goes on, like she's like, oh, like they go on the scheme, that we're gonna go over in the notes here, but they're scheming together about how to get out of here for 2 years. 2 years is a long time. Freeron's like, oh boy, 2 years stuck here. I'm so happy. And Fern is like, absolutely not. We're not doing this. And she's like, Stark, you gotta believe me. And he's like, yeah, I'm not staying for 2 years either. But like, she was actually like nice to him by the end of the episode, and so they're not going to do this like season long tsundere trope potentially. And I really hope they don't because it actually nice that the characters got along. But I'm watching this episode play out, and we make a lot of DBZ references here, and I'm like, I feel like they're going to be done with the adventure, and we're going to like move the series forward, and like I could totally see like Stark and Fern getting together and like having kids or something, and then Frieren is like Piccolo to the like Goku's family. You know what I mean? How like
Ah,
he's like like an immortal being who just kind of like helps raise your kids forever.
She just keeps raising generations and generations of their kids.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was saying. Yeah, would be funny. But
I
yeah,
do
I
like
I
that
don't know if
idea.
Stark and Fern are going to be shipped. We're going to meet more characters, I'm sure. So maybe there's something else going on. But so far, I wouldn't be angry if the show took that direction. Also, I'm all about shipping and stuff. So like, you know, that's what I'm all about.
So we briefly touched on this, but Fern definitely does not want to wait the 2 years, and she finds Stark eating some kick-ass looking ice cream at the bar. Like, where can I get some of that? It looks really good.
That ice cream sundae looked amazing.
I definitely want some. And Fern tells Stark that they could be stuck there for 2 years, and Stark says no thanks.
I love how Stark just is like, this ice cream sundae used to be so much bigger when I was smaller. I had to share it with my master. And the bartender's like, no, it was definitely the same size. He's like, you sure? It definitely feels smaller. And he's like, no, I've been working here the entire time. It's always been the same size. And Shark is like, is it though? And I love how the bartender's like, the passage of time is cruel. And it's funny that like this line was said because I was just at the batting cages getting into my softball swing in shape for the season, and I was talking to the one guy who works there, and we were talking about New Year's Eve, and we were just like both reminiscing of like how like New Year's Eve when we were younger was like this great thing. It's like it always felt like such an event when we were younger. Like as kids and like even in our 20s, and now here we are in our 30s, and it's just like it just feels so meh. Like, and it's like it makes sense. Like when you're a kid, you never get to like stay up that late. Like an 8 to 10-year-old doesn't get to stay up till like after midnight, and like it was an event. Like, oh, we're gonna have our friends over. We're gonna have like all this food and drink and yada yada yada, and like it felt like an event. And then like in your 20s, like you're going to a house party, you're going out to a bar, whatever it might be. You can just freshly like legally drink and stuff. So like it feels like an event. But like now we're in our 30s, and it's like, okay, well, I don't really want to stay up till midnight every night, honestly. So it's and like so it's like, okay, I watch the ball drop and okay, I'm going to bed. See ya. Like it's just another day. So like it was just funny how the timing of the bartender line and that story lined up so perfectly in my life.
Fern agrees and pulls him into finding a way through the checkpoint sooner than later. After checking around, they come up empty handed. Stark tells Fern that he wants to go on some ridiculous adventures so he can tell Eisen about them before he passes away.
How old was Stark when he was taken on as Eisen's apprentice? Like he looks like he's like 8. And like I honestly wondered what happened to Stark's parents or like what happened in Stark's life for him to become Eisen's apprentice so young.
Probably just another orphan. You know, I guess all the heroes of legend there just took in orphans, right?
All the heroes of legend are Batman and all the orphans are Robin.
Yeah, kind of seemingly how it goes. Yeah.
And then Eisen better not die before they complete this journey.
I know, right?
Oh, the way they write these shows, he'll be like on his deathbed, and they'll arrive and tell him the story, and he'll literally die the next day. Because that's how these stories work.
You're probably right.
I can already see it.
That makes me sad. The two find Frieren hiding in an alley. It turns out the soldiers are looking for her, and Stark wants to know what she did to upset the soldiers so much. To which she responds, she didn't do anything. And then the three are found by this really tall, angry guard who would not let them pass in the beginning of the episode here. And he drops to his hands and knees to apologize. Then the lord of the town shows up and he also apologizes and said that they did not know that she was the legendary mage Frieren. They are now able to pass, but Frieren wanted to take her time looking through all the magic shops, so she's sad.
I got a good laugh out of this. Like Freerun was like, "Oh, really? No, I'm in no hurry. Like it's fine. I just wanted to do some shopping. We don't have to go yet. It's fine." She's such a reluctant hero.
She just wants spells.
So the three leave town with a proper send off from all the villagers. There are even flower petals raining down on them and everything. Frieren doesn't like the attention, but does remember it was very similar from when she passed through the first time with her previous party. They leave heading north.
I will say, I wonder if we get a Himmel apprentice type of character at some point to fill out the foursome. Because as they were leaving the town and they did the flashback, they were in the same formation. Like you had Freerun in the same spot, you had Fern in the Hider spot, and you had Stark in the Eisen spot. So it's like, all right, well, we don't have a Himmel character yet. So when is that coming?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering the same thing. Because, like, I bet you in her mind, she's kind of replicating the trip, but at the same time, guarantee she has another party before she goes with, and almost loses sight that this is another adventure. Because to her, it's like, it's just retracing her steps, but to these people, it's a brand new adventure. So I don't know. Like, she might lose sight of the importance of this journey.
So, as a whole, what did you guys think about these episodes?
Sean, you want to start us off?
Yeah, first off, I'm team Fark, Fern Stark. Or maybe it should be Stern. I have to ship them because two characters interacted in a show, therefore they must be in love forever. Uh,
I love the reasoning behind that.
It's the law.
that's honestly how this stuff works. So yeah, so I'm down with that them forever they need to have many kids, and Frieren needs to be involved in those children's life because that's their grandma, pretty much. Frieren will hate being called a grandma, probably, but um, it'll be
I
funny that way.
mean, Stark already called her an old hag.
Exactly. Yeah, I do. Sometimes Frieren does act like a grandma, just like in her mannerisms and in the way she carries herself and things she says. But either way, though, uh, very good 2 episodes. Great intro for Stark. Like when you introduce a new character, you want it to be impactful, and this is impactful. I feel like I have a good gauge on like who the character is, what his capabilities are, and I want to see what he can do and how he's going to grow. So looking forward to meeting a new character, possibly in next week's viewing, and also looking forward to seeing how these characters grow and change. So yeah, very good episodes.
I loved these episodes. They were so much fun. I was laughing, I was smiling, I was enjoying the action. I was loving the introduction of Stark. I'm loving the interaction of the three of them so far, and just I'm very much looking forward to each episode, each like every time we sit down to talk about this show. It's I'm really glad it's the three of us talking about this show. I almost wish we had a fourth to like replicate the foursome in the show. Like this is the perfect show to watch with buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this that, we haven't said already or you guys haven't touched on. I said before, like, this is one of my new all-time favorite shows. These are great episodes, great introduction of a new character, and the way that a lot of times I'm used to watching like shonen type battle shows where like every episode is either building up to some sort of big fight or is a big fight, and this show has really cool fight sequences, but they're kind of sprinkled throughout. They're not necessarily in every episode. Like you'll get a cool fight sequence here, and it might last like 5 minutes, and then we move on to do other things and focus on the characters, not so much the fight sequence. So I'm not used to watching shows like this, but my goodness, when they do the fight sequence, it's so good. And the whole show is just animated so well. But the characters, the focus on the actual characters is like who they are and how they interact with others. We really get a great sense of who these people are. And I love the show. So these are great episodes. There's more great stuff to come. And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Sean, who is your waifu of the week and why?
I'm gonna go with Aizen. He trained one heck of a competent apprentice, even though he abused him because he was scared of him for no reason. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Aizen. I hope the man makes it so that Stark can come back and tell him about his adventures.
Mike, who is your waifu of the week and why?
I had a hard time picking between Stark and Aizen, and at the end of the day, I believe I'm going to go with Aizen. Part of it was just the flashback scene where his hands were shaking, and he said, without fear, I wouldn't have made it this far." And it's just like, man, like that's such like, because like you have this all-powerful warrior, and like you just assume, oh, he's so powerful, he probably has like isn't afraid of anything, and it's like, oh no, this guy fears, like he's afraid of things, but like he knows how to use that fear to like become a better warrior, and like he used like that knowledge and his background to like train Stark, and his words when Frieren told Stark about him was what opened Stark's eyes. So without Aizen and those words, we really don't have Stark.
That is a great line. My waifu of the week, just to be different from the two of you, will be Stark. I really like his character introduction. I think he genuinely gets a lot of laughs out of me. I think he's actually a very funny character, but he also is an incredible warrior, even though he doesn't know it yet. So I look forward to seeing, how he shapes himself as a warrior in the future and what he can ultimately do in the end. I'm very curious to see, where he goes from here. but that whole dragon battle is just freaking amazing. So I'm giving it to Stark this week. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Frieren Beyond Journey's End. We hope you join us next week for episode 43 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 7 and 8 of Frieren. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug? Why, yes, Turtle, thank you so much for asking. I'd like to plug my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. I sit down with a friend, couch co-op style, and play through an RPG game. Check it out. Thanks, Turtle. That was great. Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, as always, please listen to the Demon Files podcast. That's all.
That's it?
That's it.
You heard him, everybody. Listen to the Demon Files. Mike, you got anything for us?
Yeah, the Anime Banter podcast, which you're currently listening to, hopefully. And if you are, tell your friends about it, because we have fun recording this show, and we hope you have fun listening to our show. But the Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.